going live on Facebook for the Not Your Average Investor Show, Tuesday edition. That one was for you, Abraham. I know that you wanted to see it.
I was expecting.
Yeah. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez. As always, my co-host, the guy who is great in cold weather. That's why they call him GC, and because his name is Greg Cohen. Say hello, Greg.
Well, thank you, Pablo. Good to be with everybody. Thank you all for being here.
And today we got an awesome guest. We got a show regular that has been commenting, been a part of this. He's a JWB client. Really, really unique why that we're going to get into, because he is a pastor, he is a college professor, and he's a real estate investor that is causing an amazing impact in the world, from Colombia by way of Orlando and Miami and somewhere else in Michigan that you mentioned today. Abraham Guerrero. Say hello, Abraham.
Hello, Pablo. Hello. You, buddy. I really missed the cartwheel or push-ups or handstand. I don't know what was it that you were about to do today, but I missed that one.
Oh man, for the interest of time, because we started a little bit late, I didn't do it, but I promise maybe I'll do some burpees while you guys are talking or something.
I think we should take the time. Let's just
joke out. A good, man. Yeah, he got it, man. I think that needs a repeat, bro. That needs a repeat. Some people didn't catch that.
We'll do it later. And for those of you that are listening on the podcast, I just jumped up and did a little Broadway show dance there for a second. But welcome everybody. As you all know, this is our Tuesday edition where we interview amazing people like Abraham on the Not Your Average Investor Show. This is a show that's driven by your communication, by your interaction. We want to hear from you. We're mentioning that it's cold in Florida. I want to hear in the chat, is it cold everywhere, right? Like, is there like some kind of like big cold front going on? Because it was freaking freezing this morning when Greg, I had to.
Colder in Jacksonville than it is in New York, is what I heard.
Okay. Yeah. Us here. Okay. Here we go. 30 degrees in Columbus, Ohio, David says. So, it's, that's like, that's like how cold it is here now, right? Like something like that. But anyways, we want you all contributing. 2 ways to contribute to the show. Number 1 is this chat button that everybody is contributing on right now. Little thing about the chat is that when you pop open that chat box, when you're talking to us right now, it is defaulted to panelists only. So only me, Greg, and Abraham get to see this thing. If you want to be chatting with everybody else, David, for example, just drop that blue button down, put panelists and attendees, and now everybody sees what everybody is contributing to. You can make a friend. We got Mark Norman showing off here with 72 degrees in Southern California. That's cheating, Mark. It's always 72 degrees in Southern California, and it never rains, according to that song. And second, if you want your question answered on this show, right? If you want me to ask Abraham a question about his strategy, Greg a question about the market, anything like that, go to Q&A, go to the Q&A button on the bottom right, pop that open. Ask your questions there. I ask that you put questions there because, as you will see, we got all this community on the chat. Everybody likes to talk to each other, so it goes really quickly, and I may lose track of your question and feel terribly about it and lose sleep. Please do me the favor and just put it in the Q&A box so that we get it all handled. And last but not least, if you like what you're hearing and you just this is your first time on the show and you just kind of want a breakdown of all things rental property investing, the 3 things you really got to nail to get into the game, and what JWB does to help you out with that, go to jwbwebclass.com. And for those of you that have been here a couple of times and now it's, maybe time before the end of the year to see how this thing fits into your portfolio, you want to talk to the team and give you a customized solution, go to chatwithjwb.com and pick out a time. But without further ado, we're going to pick your brain. Abraham, we said that you have a really unique mission as far as most people that are real estate investors. Can you share with us your why of why you are investing in real estate, why you're building this wealth?
Sure, man. Thank you for having me here. It's a privilege. I would say I would sum it up to 2 basic items. I am a firm believer in the fact that God is the source of real happiness. I mean, you can have all the money you want, but you'll never be completely happy unless you have God in your life. And I'm a lover of research, and research does tell me that there's about 1,700 people groups that are still unreached with the gospel of Christ. So that is about 42% of the world's people groups. And if you mind about it, it's about half of the people groups. If you don't want to say half of the population, because it's a different story. What I want to say, it's about 3.23 billion people in those people groups, who really don't have good access to the gospel as most of us do have access to it. And I know some people believe in Jesus, some don't, and I respect everybody's walk. I am a strong believer that God is the source of real happiness, and I really mind about those 3.23 billion people who don't have access to the gospel. So that's one of my big whys. So my family has decided that we will do our best to make disciples of all people, make disciples of Jesus among all people groups in the world. And we are doing this in the United States, in Colombia, and overseas, everywhere else. We are sponsoring missionaries in Cambodia and other low-income places in the world. And well, you want to say, if you want to say that that doesn't require money, that's not true. That takes a lot of faith, yes, but it takes a lot of money as well. And that's one of the reasons why I am investing, so that I have more to give more. Um, that's a big one. And the second one is, I believe in blessing the society that is around me. And let me put it this way. In the United States, there's a lot of investment opportunities, including real estate, which I love. And if it's passive with somebody who is active about it, as JWB, well, it's even better. Um, but there's one thing that is, research has already told us that is more, has an even greater ROI than real estate, and that is childcare. It is said that childcare has more ROI than just about everything else. It's the greatest investment in the United States and perhaps in the world. Research has proven that people who do have access to high quality childcare have more chances of getting better educated through life, getting to better paying jobs, getting access to investments like this one, being able to have a better health. I don't want to get into details, but there's a lot of research about it, and that got my mind. And then when I realized that most people in the United States do not have access to that kind of thing, and we are in a very capitalistic kind of country where everybody works, the husband, the wife, and the dog works, everybody works. So the children are basically on their own, left to whatever the phones are able to give them as education. That is not worth it. And so I mind about it, and we decided with my wife to invest in that, to provide people with low income, high quality childcare. And it could even be said better. It's not just childcare, it's child development. It's different than just having them hang around, and it's developing their character, developing their brain, developing their social abilities, that kind of thing. But that takes money. So those two things are my big whys. If you want to add a third, which I don't mind, of course, I want to add that my family deserves being better, doing better, vacationing better, living better, and that doesn't have anything wrong to it. Coming to the United States opened up a lot of doors to me. Stephen Block in the chat says that I am from Berrien Springs, Michigan, home of Andrews University. Stephen, I am a graduate of Andrews University, brother. I'm a graduate of Andrews University. It's a funny story how I got there, and it probably inspires people to get to do things even if they think they are impossible. But that probably is not the subject today. I don't know.
No, listen, the subject is you, Abraham, right? So feel free to go. Greg, you were going to say something?
I just love hearing your story. I love hearing the why, the three whys, right? But, I think when people associate this activity of investing in rental properties, many fail to understand the real reason, the real payoff here. And they think about it in terms of dollars and cents, because that's an easy way to justify it, right? But the reality is that when you understand the big picture of what you're what you're trying to accomplish, you're going to be much more successful. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of pages and books and research on that, of course. So when we bring clients on, we want to understand what that why is. Sometimes clients don't know what their why is. Abraham, you knew what your why was before you came to JWB, which is amazing, right?
Oh yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
we do that. We ask you what your why is. We want to know what's driving it. Number one, because it's going to help you. It's going to help you understand what you're doing to help you accomplish that. We're going to put goals and metrics behind it. And then number two is because it's so much more fun to serve you as a client. Abraham, it's so much more fun to serve you as a client, knowing what you're rooting for and what you define as your passion. And it's just a real pleasure. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making an impact on the world.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being a part of the process, man. I've always I always appreciated the transparency and everything in JWB, man. It's it.
Well, from what I hear, though, it took you a couple turns along the real estate investment path to find JWB. Will you kind of share with people how you came to JWB, maybe your experience in real estate prior to this, and maybe some lessons that you learned working with others and working with JWB?
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to add before we go that way, that most of the people in JWB are pretty cool people. You have a couple of crazy guys like Pablo, but other than that, most people are good. Just kidding, Pablo. I appreciate you, brother.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. You obviously watch this show. Like there's nothing that makes me happier than to be made fun of. So like I'm like, this officially just made us friends, and I'm in. I'm 100% in. But yeah, man. Do you want to tell us kind of how you got into real estate when you first come in, right? Like I remember you said you came from Colombia in like 2007. That's like height of the real estate market, right? What were you thinking at that point?
Okay, so when I came to the United States, I didn't come for investing. I came because I had one of those dreams, the dream of making disciples of Jesus Christ among all people groups in the world. That got me to the United States. The reason why is that Berrien Springs, Michigan has a very special university that has a particular anthropological view that takes you to that route of reaching other people that are less likely to get the good news about Jesus and that kind of stuff. We all most of us know a lot about. So I saved for about 8 years, even restraining my amounts of food. Yeah, I'm serious. I saved seriously for about 8 years, and I made about $8,000 in savings, put them up, and came to the States. They were gone in 4 months. This is how this country is.
Yeah.
I paid almost all of that on at Andrews, and in different places, just securing a place to live, paying the education and that kind of thing. 4 months, I had $40 in my account. And somehow I was able to finish not only my master's, but also my PhD. I thought my $8,000 were going to take me through all the master's degree and at least half of the PhD. Talk about being naive.
Yeah.
If you are on the chat or on the show somewhere and you have relatives that have done grad studies, you probably know I was too naive to get into studies, but I did, and I love it because God is able to help us get things that we don't know how to get just because we have the willingness to do it. That's why I love this thing in the back. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I show it to everybody. I have a biblical teachings show on YouTube that I show this thing almost all the time about. And I believe it. I came here thinking that I knew how to speak English. I took the TOEFL. It was tough to take the TOEFL. Does it sound like a rhyme? Okay. It was tough to take the TOEFL. I barely passed it. in at 80%, and I thought I knew enough English. I went to Andrews University, and the first day of class, this anthropological it was an anthropologist and an archaeologist at the same time, Dr. Yonker. He was more of a trained than a teacher. He would speak like a bunch of words in a minute, in a second, I should say. And out of the 3 hours and a half of that day's class, I understood barely about 15 minutes. I came back home and I told my wife, I'm going back to Colombia. I can't make this. And she didn't let me. She said, I will go back with you wherever you go, but I want you to finish this, because you were saving for this for 8 years and you're not going to give up right now. I'm going back to wherever you go when you got it. And if you don't get it, I'll push you and I'll make it happen, but I'm not going to let you go failure. Man, and that was big. I ended up learning the rest of my English skills in 15 days, as crazy as that sounds. I think that was a gift from God anyway. And that's just about the way it happened with real estate as well. A few years down the road, I got a call to serve in Miami. That was in 2011. A call to serve as a pastor with the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Miami. And I served there for a little bit, and I promised to myself that I would never buy a house in the United States, because that was very expensive, and I would never get in such debt.
Did you ever think that you'd be on a show that the major theme is how to buy rental properties in the United States of America?
No, man, no, brother. But about 6 months down the road, I realized that that year I would have wasted $18,000 in rent alone, and I decided that I would apply for a mortgage somehow. So in June, I approached my mortgage processor and I told him, what would it take for me to get approved before the end of the year? And they gave me the list. I worked on the list and I got approved by November. And I celebrated Thanksgiving with a new approval. So that was it. Good enough there. I was happy about it. But the bad thing about it is that 3 months down the road, I got relocated. My church administration told me that they really needed me in Orlando for another endeavor. And I am used to not saying no to God. So I said, yes, I'll do it. And but then I thought to myself, what is going to happen with that house? I just bought it. And if I sell it, I'll lose like $20,000. And somebody told me, well, give it a shot with renting it out. And I did it. And long story short, 7 years down the road, the house had made about $150,000 between principal pay down and property appreciation. So what I did was I put up a 1031 exchange, bought 3 properties with the JWB with that money, about $50,000 down payment each, and then took some money out of the 403B, which we should do at our job, and some savings that I had, and completed 5 properties, one big shot. That's the way it worked. But Greg did ask about the bumps in the road to get to JWB. I had heard about JWB before, but the ROIs you guys teach, you guys showcase are not as good. I mean, let's be honest, they are on the low end in regards to investing. So I shopped around, I looked around, and I decided that someone else could give me a better idea, a better return perhaps. And yeah, the returns may be a little higher, but I didn't notice that you guys were not advertising the they call it the property appreciation.
Yeah, the appreciation.
Right. And when you counted that, the other vendor was at about 20%. No, you guys were about 21%. They were about 23 to 27%. And they had a little bit of a difference, you know, with you guys, and that was that when they got you in the partnership, they call it a partnership. You provide the credit, you provide the money, they provide the HR, the research, the whatever, and they buy the houses for you, whatever. Um, they rent them out just the same way you guys do, but they want 50% of the profits.
Mm.
So when you count it like 50% of 29, it's still 15%. 100% of 20, it's still more. So I decided that I would switch. Um, I had already lost $15,000 because these guys do charge an upfront joining kind of fee.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Pablo a few weeks back that one of the things I appreciate about JWB is that you guys are very client focused. Like, yeah, I mean, everybody makes money, and I'm pretty sure you guys make a lot of money, but you are very transparent in the sense that you want us to succeed, and I am grateful for that. Um, that particular part really impressed me. And then one day I messaged Greg on Facebook, and he sent me an accept, and he responded right away. And it was not his assistant, I hope.
No, it was me.
um, and so that gave me another side of the, these guys are like genuine. Yeah.
You know, what you just shared there was, man, it gives me chills, because there are so many elements of that I think people can relate to. I can relate to. You know, the first thing I wanted to say is just, wow, what an incredible journey to come from Colombia to come to a brand new country, right? I mean, people take that for granted. I lived in Spain for a little while, and like going to another country and starting a new life in another country, people don't give that nearly enough credit, right? And then to come to this country and to go on this journey that you've been on, as far as just learning the language, but also your investing education, to go from a place where you didn't have a lot of money, but more than that, you said, listen, I'm never going to buy a house, to now surrounding yourself with the right education, the right people, to now coming to a place where not only did you buy your primary residence, you now have purchased multiple rental properties, and you're throwing out terms that a lot of people on this call might not even understand, like 1031 exchange and 403B, right? I mean, your journey is just incredible. It's a testament to you.
Yeah, and the reason I took your invitation, Greg, to share my story and that kind of thing, is that I believe that in spite of the fact that this conversation is about real estate investment and not about religion or about child care education or about graduate studies, like is my story. Those things do give you an idea of how to get into the greatest things you want to do in life. And some of the people that are on the chat may think, I want to do this, but I don't know if I'm able to do it. Yes, you can do it. It's a matter of getting into it and jumping in, and God will give you a hand. And if you find the right people, that'll happen.
That makes great sense, man. So I want to, so David Bergtold is here. He's really interested in investing in JWB and profits and with properties. So I want to kind of address some of his questions. Greg, can you just kind of like give him a little bit of like, are there new construction homes available? Is there any, Abraham, do you have any, if you had your wife on here and you really wanted to invest in rental properties, what would you want her to, like, what would you want her to find out based on your investing journey? Let's give David and his wife a little bit of value real quick.
What do you mean by that question? I'm sorry.
I think he's trying to, I think him and his wife are trying to decide whether rental properties are good for them, and investing with JWB is right for them. What advice would you give to somebody that's evaluating that decision as a couple? Like when you and your wife were thinking about buying real estate, not buying real estate, doing 1031
Okay.
exchange, what were the conversations like?
Okay. So here's my take. There's a lot of fields in which you can make money. Um, and there's people who invest in real estate because they hate their jobs. I don't hate my job. I love my job. I love being a pastor. I love teaching in college. I love it. I don't want to give it up. I won't give it up ever. So even if you guys make me 1 million per year, I'm still going to work as a pastor. I'm still going to teach in college because I love it. But I, because I love it, all my financial decisions, my investment decisions would be something that I don't need to spend time with, like passive, real passive, that I don't need to do anything about it. And JWB offers that. You just sign. Basically, that's what I've been doing. I don't even know the tenants. Let's be honest. I bought the houses without even visiting them. I don't know the houses. I have never been to the properties that I own. And I couldn't care less. I mean, I don't mind. I love investing, not because of the structure of the house, the color of the house, whatever. It's just because I'm providing a value to somebody and I'm making some money off of it. That's it. And so I decided, okay, I will invest whatever I have in real estate. JWB will do the work, and it's not really that much of work. You've been doing that so long that you can do it while you're sleeping. So it's okay. It's not that I am being bad with you guys. So I put the money there, and you guys have been performing every single month with 10 or plus percent cash flow, plus the appreciation that is already visible in my properties, which are all only 6 months old with you guys. So I think it's a no-brainer. If you want it passive, probably one of the best things is JWB, because they do the work in a transparent way. If you want to be active, you may make some more money, but you will have definitely more work,
So you bring up some really great points, Abraham. And, one of the things that you also mentioned, I'd like to just key in a little bit more on is that the returns that we advertise are lower than what you may find, definitely depending on which real estate investment you're going to or whatever market you're going to. You're going to find that the returns on our property valuations are lower. But for you, when you dug a little bit deeper, you saw that if we were comparing apples to apples, they're actually much, much higher the way that others represent them. Could you talk a little bit more in depth there? And then also talk about your view on why you financed your properties, because, my wife's family is from a different country as well. They're from Honduras. And we had a lot of discussions on taking out financing for their investment properties because it just wasn't natural many, many years ago when I joined their family. And I think for many who are not in the United States, using financing is just not natural. I don't know if it was for you before or not, but could you talk about your journey using financing and why you decided to finance these properties as well? And both of those are kind of related. So maybe could you kind of talk about all of those?
Okay, so I believe there's a lot of danger in getting too much in debt, right? I believe there's a lot of danger in getting too greedy about money and getting too like, I want money, I want money, I want money. There's nothing wrong about money, but the lust for money is a huge trouble. And debt is something I really hate. If you can use that word as a pastor, okay. So I remember visiting this person somewhere else in Colombia. She was buying this mattress. It was a very simple mattress. And I asked her how, this guy put it in the house, and she was paying like $5 translated to the country. Mm-hmm. And I told her, it's just $5? No, $5 a week, pastor. And okay, how long? And I did the math, and she was paying 3 times more than I was paying for my full-fledged luxury mattress that I was using at home just because I bought it cash. And I was like, no, that shouldn't be done. So I always insist that whenever you buy things that don't produce money, you don't buy them credit unless you have the money to pay that before the end of the month, before the end of the credits, the billing cycle. But if you are doing investments that will actually produce you more money than what you're spending in the credit, it makes a lot of sense. For instance, had I bought one house, because that's about what I would have been able to get by that time. When I sold the Miami property, there were $150,000 in equity there for several reasons. So if I took those 150, I would have bought just one house. What would have been the returns, Greg? Cash flow,
including appreciation, would have been around maybe 9-10%.
Okay, yeah. So I am getting 9% or 10% already in just cash flow, plus 14% appreciation, just because I was willing to sign some mortgage notes, and the client, the tenant is already paying all that stuff, and I do have a little cushion money back home that if anything goes wrong, I can pay that, right? So
let's quiz Pablo a little bit here. I'm gonna do the quiz in here. So Pablo, Abraham mentioned that he can count on 14% appreciation, but the Jacksonville market doesn't appreciate at 14% a year. How is this possible, Pablo?
Leverage, right? So from what I've learned from being on the show, you're appreciating at 4.3% based on appreciation, but because you're only paying 20% of what the total cost is and the rest is financed, then you are basically getting a 4 times multiplier effect on what that number is. And that's why it ends up working out to 16%.
There you go. You guys held it together.
Pretty good. All right.
Very nice, very nice. And I wanted to add one more thing about debt there. It's important for me as someone who is a good, a very how can I call it? A very intentional researcher and a very intentional Bible student, right? That's the way I would say it. To me, it has been a journey of struggle to understand what it is that is wrong about debt. And not everybody understands it. Some people think that is wrong right up front, whatever it is. I want to say I would not call it real debt. If your debt is controlled and is producing, it's not debt, it's investment. If you go too much debt, you're probably no longer investment. You're risking, you're gambling, and that's when it comes to be dangerous. And I would say, from the religious perspective, it can even be sinful, because you're risking your family, you're risking your goals. I'm risking my whys, my 3 whys. I will no longer be able to sponsor missionaries in Cambodia or anywhere in the Southeast Asia part of the world at 1040 window, which I love. I wouldn't be able to help people who don't have access to childcare in the States. I wouldn't be able to take my family out for vacations. I wouldn't be able to do any of those things just because I was irresponsible with my way of handling debt. But if I am paying 4% in interest and I am getting 4.3% in appreciation, that alone is above that. And if you do what Pablo said it would do, counting that it is only 20%, I am getting 25, 27% ROI every single year, and I'm only spending 4%. What does it mean? I'm getting about 23% ROI net.
So a couple things just to like lay the foundation of your thoughts there, which I completely agree as far as debt go. I agree with everything you said, but specifically about the debt, what you're talking about is the definition of good debt. And it comes down to three things for me. Number one, the debt has to be inexpensive. So when we're talking about expensive or inexpensive, the interest rate is what we're talking about there. So 4% interest rate is incredibly low. So we've checked that box. The next thing is that the asset needs to pay for itself every single month, including the debt service. So while you're taking on this additional debt payment, the income from the asset has to pay for itself every single month. And we get that with rental properties from rental income in a market like Jacksonville. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is that the asset needs to go up in value over time, over a full market cycle. History shows us that the Jacksonville market and markets in general, real estate markets in general, go up in value. So if you can do those three things, then that's what I define as smart debt. It's got to be inexpensive. It has to pay for itself every single month, and then it has to go up in value over time. And that's largely what you were talking about there, right, Abraham?
Yeah, and I as somebody who works with people all the time, I have come to counseling sessions with people who have lost their homes in previous recessions and stuff like that, and I've always come to the realization that their mistake was they didn't think thoroughly about those things. So there was no way of assuring that they were going to be able to pay every single month, and beyond that payment they will have a little bit of something extra. They didn't do that math, and since they didn't, when the hit came, they got hit. And yeah, so and one more thing, I know that you guys were not publicizing the appreciation for a good reason, because you don't want to become speculative, right? And I love it. I love it. I love it. I do love the fact that you guys are telling people that there is that thing if you stay for the full market cycle, because that is part of the scenario. Listen, if that was not true, if that was just speculation, I wouldn't have started in real estate anyway. Because the reason I got started in this thing was because of that appreciation. So over 7 years, I was able to get a full 3 houses between principal down payment from the client, from the tenant, and appreciation. And of course, I did add a couple extra dollars every month because I like that kind of thing. I like paying down my debt every single month. So in 7 years, I had 100. Let's say 130 were really due to the property itself, and another 20 I put myself in there. So that's reality. When I realized that those were real numbers, real money, I was like, okay, so the key is not to buy today and speculate about how much it will be next year, but buy today and stay with the property for about 10 years at least, and you can count on that 4.3.
You nailed it. And I'm so glad that you mentioned holding on for a full market cycle, because that is critical to this plan. That's why it matters so much to do the due diligence on the team that you want to invest with, because that team is going to be there with you. If you want to count on home price appreciation, you want to count on all the profit centers, that team is going to be there with you for 10 years. 10 years, that's a long time, right? So, I mean, the model just makes sense, but you've got to be disciplined. Like we are all seeing how disciplined you are in your approach. And then when you do, and you stick with the plan, then you're able to accomplish those whys.
Let's talk about his other discipline of research, right? I'm like, you told me that when you were first kind of getting started, you were looking at different options. You didn't initially go with JWB. You kind of went under a different business model to start, and then you decided to go down the JWB route, right? Again, the team and being there for a while. Can you tell us what the first business model is that you were experimenting with, and what that experience was like versus what it is with JWB now, and like what made you change?
Okay, I hinted on it a little bit earlier, but the idea basically is they offer you this membership that is also a partnership. So you pay them a fee, an initial fee, and um, uh, they take 50% of everything you make. So let's say appreciation does go 4.3, they get 2.15. If your cash flow is $230, then they take 115. That's about the way they go. JWB, I don't want to get you guys too proud about it, but that's something I really appreciate about it. And I told Pablo, if it's something that I need to highlight, I will highlight, just because I want JWB to remember, when they get a little more millionaires than they are right now, that they don't get too proud about it as to push people down. I mean, what has made you guys win my confidence is the fact that you help people grow without taking their money out of their pockets. And you don't have a reason to get 50% of my income, my earnings, because this is my credit, this is the money that I worked hard for. You just make doing business with my money and selling this property. You're making money, of course, out of the property sell, but you're making money out of the maintaining the property, period. That's it. You just helping other people achieving their goals. That's the way I take it. If at any point JWB turns the other way and starts charging percentages from the income that people get, I will immediately retire from you guys.
Well, that's good. You should, because then our goals wouldn't be in line, right? So much of choosing the right partner is making sure that they are making money when you are making money, right? With most financial relationships, you want to make sure that you have a high level partner that is incentivized, right? That they're making money when you're making money, and when you're not making money, they're not making money too, right? And worse, then they're not making a whole lot of money when you're not making any money. I mean, that's about the worst thing.
So this other vendor, without saying names, they would charge 50% of whatever my property made, and then I would get only 50% of it. What JWB does is that they just charge me whatever they need to charge me for managing the property, and period. That's it.
So let me ask something. What drew you to that? What drew you to doing that first business model? Was it a promise of higher returns? Is it because they take risk off the table? What was the decision making there?
When I was sent the property evaluations, they made a little more sense, perhaps because they were a little speculative. Um, I would say, I want to say um, perhaps they have better ROIs in other markets. I don't know. Jacksonville is not necessarily the highest cash on cash return month per month. Um, I think you guys wouldn't argue with me on that.
No, you're 100% right.
Jacksonville is not necessarily what is going to give you the best cash flow right there first month, but it is, in my mind, as far as I know, I don't know much about that real estate, but as far as I have experience, is the best combination between decent cash flow, consistent cash flow, and predictable appreciation. Predictable. It's not speculative, it's predictable. So that one thing attracted me, and the other thing was the transparency of you guys, and that's why I insisted, please don't change that heart. Don't change that heart. um, it's always better to serve people, to help others grow. And if you grow a little bit by helping me and helping others, you grow a little here, a little there, you become a giant.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Don't worry. We're not going to change. We've been doing it this way for 15 years. So it's not changing anytime soon or ever. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm not too worried based on what I know about these guys. But like you mentioned something that we do touch on this show a lot, and it's the idea that human beings are happiest when they're in service, right? So I see, obviously clearly, Abraham, your why is very much service oriented. I think that Greg and the way that the JWB team approaches things of of being service oriented in order to grow relationships long term is really what they thrive on. So I see the perfect fit. What I want to pick your brain on about is last time when we hopped on early was I guess it was last week, you're using a new kind of like debt strategy that you think is useful for people. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to share that strategy that you've discovered, maybe pick Greg's brain about it.
Okay, so you want me to punch brain? Oh man, Greg's brain now as well.
Yeah, man, let's go.
Well, listen, if there's one thing I would change about JWB is so far is a little more intentionality about showing new tools like this one that I really did have to pay somewhere else to learn about. But that doesn't take away the fact that you guys are the best, period. Um, uh, I had to pay someone else. I don't want to say names anyway, but I had to pay someone else to learn about HELOC, the HELOC strategy. And some people don't know how to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, it can kill your finances. Okay. So I was afraid about it. And I am a good researcher, like I said. And I looked at all the numbers. I'm like, I'm a good researcher, but I'm not willing to sit down every single day to do the things that are needed to do in order for the HELOC strategy to work. For those of you who don't know what the HELOC strategy is basically taking out a HELOC, home equity line of credit, and paying it down so that you're able to buy properties with that money every single time without having to refinance or pay closing costs once and again. I find it pretty interesting, and it saves about between 1 and 2/3 of the time and the money that you will end up paying in the long run. Um, eh, Up to a few months back, as far as I know, this wasn't really available for rental properties that much, but I understand there's a few lenders out there who do offer for rental properties HELOC. So when I decided that I was not going to do the HELOC manually myself, I almost gave up until I paid this guy, and they introduced me to this strategy called the all-in-one HELOC, which is basically the same institution with the same account. They give you the home equity line of credit. They give you a checking account. You do your all your income, you set it to hit that account, and as soon as it hits that account, your HELOC amount goes down, and your debt goes down, your interest expenses go down, and it's automatic. You don't even have to think about it. All you have to do is set your expenses 1 or 2 days before your income, and that way your interest will be minimal. And if you do it automatically, a 30-year mortgage is off the chart in about 10 years, not to be exaggerated, but I've heard people who done it in 6 years, 7 years. I don't know if Greg can talk a little more about what JWE might be thinking about it or doing about it.
Well, it's something we've actually looked a lot into. In fact, I was on a call with, I don't know if it was the same company, but another company, maybe about 2 months ago, looking into it. And so, what we're talking about is effective and efficient debt pay down. And by looking at what your interest rates are and the terms of your loan on your rental properties, you can strategically pay your loans down in a short period of time. And then the movement of money is what the program, Abraham, that you're speaking of helps you with, like actually moving the money. I think this is a great thing. I mean, we talk a lot in terms of how to help clients do the best thing for their goals. So, at different times, clients are going to be in acquisition mode. And when you have excess capital, if your goals determine that you need to have a certain amount of properties, you're going to be in acquisition mode. And that extra capital that you have probably is going to buy those next properties. And then when you get to that right number of properties, you have a decision to make. Do we want to focus on debt pay down, or do we want to focus, have our goals changed? Do we need to add more properties, right? We're going to have those conversations with our clients. And then Abraham, what you're describing is we're now in debt pay down mode for you, for those properties right there, right? And so what we're doing is using that home equity line of credit to effectively and efficiently pay down those properties in a very strategic manner. And it can be done automatically. So those programs are out there. I have seen some that are really intriguing. I've seen some that kind of fall short. So I think, make sure you do your due diligence on it. But the big thing is that type of strategy is really important. You can do some of this stuff even if you don't want to make the investment in one of these programs. We can have a conversation with our team and we can guide you on which loan, if you have 3 loans to pay down, which loan does it make sense to dump that extra capital into every single month.
Okay.
Right? And that will help as well. So, but I think these programs are great. It's something certainly to look into. I've looked into them in the past. For a lot of JWB clients though, paying down the debt, if we're just looking at the return on investment, which doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, paying down the debt faster is actually not the best return on investment for your capital.
Yeah. Right? If you let me interject there, Greg. So what I'm trying to push for is more of an option between even pay down and acquisition. I'm still in acquisition mode. I want to get to 20 properties. And the HELOC strategy for me is not paying down. The HELOC strategy for me is acquisition. So here's what happens with my primary residence is valued at about 300,000. Mm-hmm. My current debt on it is about 207,000. So I have about $60,000, $50,000. Let's put it at 40, just not to exaggerate, in available HELOC that I can take out. If you talk about 80% LTV and you talk about 40% DTI, you're talking about $40,000 that I can take off right now of my current primary residence and buy another property with you guys. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm trying to say? So, and I really don't, again, we go back to the finding the right person to help you with the process. I did look into, I said I was good for research, remember? I did look into several companies that do this HELOC strategy thing. And I don't take me wrong, I didn't pay the software thing that gives you access to how to do which or what to do next and that kind of thing. No, I paid for the learning and it was not a lot of money. And what I ended up signing up for was this company that does an all-in-one loan that you don't have to think about. You're passive about it. You just pay down your debt as usual, and the debt goes away in 2/3 of the time, mm-hmm. or 1/3 of the time. So at this, like right now, Greg, if I go forward with it, which I'm closing in the next few weeks, mm-hmm. If I go on with that one, what will happen is I will have between $40,000 and $50,000 available for another purchase with you guys, mm-hmm. right? So that will not help me pay down any of JWB's properties, mm-hmm. like the ones that I bought with you guys. That will help me acquire another one, which will add to my monthly income that I can send over to missionaries in Cambodia or help people pay their childcare thing in the United States, to help the poor and feed the needy when the crash comes. I shouldn't say anything about it anyway.
Well, I totally get what you're saying. And so I guess my one question, because I'm really curious about this, is how much of that HELOC, it sounds like the HELOC that you took out is going to be used for accumulation, right? Adding additional properties. And it's also going to be used to aggressively pay down and basically kind of efficiently pay down an existing loan that you have. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah. So I am paying according to the contract that we, the terms, the initial disclosures and all that I got. Like I said, I haven't closed yet, but I understood the fine print and everything. So what happens is the interest rate is is variable, and that can be a little dangerous if you don't know how to handle it. But I am not planning on letting any month go by without paying it. That's one thing that you got to be clear on. So and it's a little higher, but it ends up being, the effective rate is, it ends up being about, Greg, it ends up being about 2.3% when you think about it, because well, you probably know more about that stuff than I do. If you take an interest rate that's variable and it's not an all-in-one loan, you're probably doing yourself a harm, a huge harm. But if you take a variable interest that is slightly higher than what you got, but you're doing the all-in-one thing, and you're placing the the expenses right before the income, right, 1 or 2 days apart, right, automatically it is guaranteed that in 10 years the most, your debt, your 30-year debt, is going to be paid. No brains, no brainer, nothing to do, nothing to do. I don't do anything. All I will have to do is just keep doing what I'm doing, which is nothing. I just log into my account once, I tell my bank, pay this account on this day, period, and I never see it again. That's the way I pay my mortgages. I don't see it. I love spending my time teaching the Bible. I love spending my time visiting with the poor. I love spending my time with the community out there. I don't like spending my day thinking about numbers and how much will I make in this or that. The money just flows automatically.
Well, I love the strategy. I really do. What you're doing is you're taking out super inexpensive debt and you're paying down more expensive debt, right? If your interest rates are 4% or 5% or whatever, you're paying it off with inexpensive money. So that makes sense all day, every day, just like you're talking about. Keep us posted on the success there. I mean, it's incredible. It's another advanced strategy of debt pay down that certainly can help folks.
Yep.
Awesome. I wanted to have that discussion so we could flush it out and pass it through the Greg's filter. Sounds like it passes. I'm interested to see how it pans out. Abraham, we have a bunch of people asking, where to find the info, like what company you're using or anything like that. Do you want to share that, or?
Yeah, no problem. I'm using First Lien HELOC.
First lien HELOC. Okay, cool.
But they offer different products. I would say be specific about it being an all-in-one loan, because that way you won't need the headache. You won't have the headache of thinking, what should I pay first? What should I do first? Where should I send this money? It's automatic.
One thing, because you're talking about getting a home equity line of credit on a rental property, which sets the whole chat on fire here, because people have been looking for that since 2008, and it's extremely hard to come by. It sounds like is it on your primary residence, the home equity line of credit?
Okay, good question. So the one that I'm closing in right now is on my primary residence. I do have a couple of contacts that have sent me requests. I have been doing the research, like I said, and I didn't do on my investment properties because they are not there yet. There's vendors that do provide it currently. I can't promise anything about them because I don't know how they perform or whatever. But there's people who already do it. Yeah, it's pretty recent, but it's already out there in the market.
Yeah, we've been keeping our tabs on it too. I think it's coming, but it's hard to find partners that can do it.
Yep.
Especially for smaller rental property operations, which most of us are, in the JWB clientele, right? Own 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 rental properties max. It's harder to find them, but we will certainly keep you posted. It's something we've been looking at for a long time, to start to refer people to a home equity line of credit provider for rental properties, because there's a lot of equity that has been built up in rental properties. It can help folks get to their goals much quicker, especially in this environment now, where you could buy properties and secure really inexpensive financing on your property for the next 30 years, right? Those 4% loans. So we're going to keep you posted if we can find them. And if you have contacts, Abraham, feel free to send them to me, after
All
the
right.
show here.
I will. And I did want to add one thing, just for the sake of protecting everybody from misunderstanding something that I may have said. I'm not inviting people to take out HELOCs and spend it and everything and whatever. I all I'm saying is that what I did was an acquisition strategy, taking out a home equity that is sitting still and stagnant on my primary residence, and using it for the next investment property that is going to produce at least 11%, 10 or 11. I haven't bought a property with you guys with less than 11%. I guess I am a little too picky about it, and I don't get it until I don't take the property. I don't sign the contract until unless it is at least 10.5. And I know you guys under promise, so I know it's going to get to 11.
You know what I love about you, Abraham? I can already tell you're going to be holding us accountable for a very, very long time, brother. I appreciate it. Oh, man.
Greg, so to go back to David Berchtold, who's been patiently waiting, him and his wife are watching, they just got some questions on, can you give a lay of the land on, does JWB have new construction homes available, kind of like range of price points? Give them a little bit of primer on that.
Absolutely, David. So nice to meet you and to have you and your wife on the call here. So our price ranges are going to range from about 150,000 to 210,000. And that will be both new construction homes and renovations. And generally your renovated homes are a little bit lower on the pricing scale. So think normally about 150 to 180,000 will be your renovations. And your new construction homes will be about 180,000 to 210,000. But the big thing is that we love both renovations and new construction. We talk about it a lot. So I would certainly encourage you to come to the next Not Your Average Investor Show episode, because it's really important that folks know that you can get to the same return on investment for both renovated homes and new construction homes. You get there a little bit different, right? New construction homes are a little bit more expensive, but they have lower insurance costs and they have slightly lower maintenance costs. Renovated homes, slightly lower on the pricing scale, but your property taxes are lower, right? So there's different ways to get there, but you're going to be able to get between 9 to 11% returns just from the cash flows. And again, that's not including home price appreciation. So we would certainly love to chat with you. I would encourage you to go to chatwithjwb.com if you don't already have a call set up, David, and we'd love to see how we can help you.
Yeah, definitely. And also, if you go to notyouraverageinvestorshow.com, right, our Thursday shows where we really break down the nuts and bolts of the pricing model and things to look for. If you watch 1 or 2 or 3 of those, you're going to see how, consistently we explain that concept and how, you're able to see through the thumbnail if it looks like a new construction home, right? Like there's if you look at the thumbnails on YouTube, you can see which ones are new construction, which one also on the descriptions. You're going to get a lot of value out of that.
And I'm
Abraham,
gonna
looks
say,
like you want to say something.
And I'm gonna say something to David. When you hear Greg saying from 150 to 180, you'll probably get it on both ranges and not necessarily on 180. He over delivers, under promises. So yeah.
You're on to me, Abraham. Darn it.
Yeah. So another reason to go to chat with JWB is that you get the less under promised by Greg Cohen. He's sheepish. Abraham, before we let you go, how do anybody that wants to help your mission, anybody that wants to donate to your charities, can you kind of tell us where to find that and to follow you or connect with you or anything like that? I know that you are a very visible member of our Facebook group. So if you want to connect with Abraham in our Facebook group, it's at jwbfacebookgroup.com. But if anybody wants to go direct to, to fund any of the stuff that you're doing, do you want to kind of promote anything that you got going on?
Okay, well, thank you. That's funny. So I have currently 2 initiatives that are going on, and those are under my name in YouTube, Abraham I. Guerrero, Guerrero. And if you prefer Spanish, you can use Aventura a través de la Biblia right after my name. And if you like English rather than Spanish, you do my name plus Journey Through the Bible. So I appreciate if you guys do follow or like or whatever, comment on the I'm trying to provide daily 3-minute messages about the Bible over there every single day, every single day.
Love it. Love it. So I put all that stuff in the chat. I hope anybody that's interested in that goes, checks you out, comment on his, give it a follow, give it a like, comment on the YouTube. We know how the social medias work around here, right? Like any support that you get always helps. Abraham, I really want to thank you for being with us, man. I thought that was really, really, really valuable. How transparent you are about sharing your journey was really, really great. I want to encourage anybody that wants to kind of hop on that journey. Next steps is, if you're right at the beginning of it, go to jwbwebclass.com so that you can get the free investor toolkit, see Greg's breakdown of the basic principles of this stuff. David, I think that might be a good opportunity for you to go to jwbwebclass.com. If what you want is to get on the phone and have somebody walk you through it one-on-one, go to chatwithjwb.com, set up that site. This Thursday, we're back. We weren't on last Thursday because it was Thanksgiving, but this Thursday, we're back to the JWB rental income property of the week.
Week.
So if you could join us there, that'll be a really, really hands-on question and answer session of like dollars and cents. As you saw today, we really wanted to highlight Abraham's story and the lessons that he's learned. He had so much to offer, man. So thank you so much. And I'll give it up. Greg, I'll let you talk about the watch party tonight.
Watch party tonight. So for all of us who are friends in the group here, we do a watch party every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. We're going to replay this episode along with the walk and talk that I did, the walk and talk that I did on Monday as well, talking about HMI and what effect that will have on housing prices in 2021. So hopefully you guys can join us. If you're a member of the group, just go there at 9:00. You'll get a special notification, and I'll be there answering questions that maybe we didn't have enough time to answer today. So hope to see you all there. But first of all, I just want to say thank you, Abraham, for being here. Such a pleasure to get to know you beyond just our Facebook messages and our interactions in the group. It's one of the things that I just absolutely love about our business year over year is just the quality of individuals that are our clients. And it is a pleasure to help those people, so talented, so giving, so passionate about their missions, whatever it may be. And they're wide ranging. But it's just the quality of individuals that we get to serve is truly a blessing. I'm so thankful to have your trust. Thank you for being a client, and thank you for putting your trust in our team here. And I'm just excited about, where we go from here and helping you accomplish your goals.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the laughter and everything. It's fun to be together. And I hope and pray that those who are thinking about investing may, flush their doubts through questions, be even harsh on their questions on Greg, on Pablo. But once they're in, it doesn't make you successful to think about how to be successful. What really makes you successful is after you think about it, you just have to do it. Knowledge about success doesn't lead you to success. It's action that takes you there. Just the way knowledge about the Bible doesn't get you to God. What gets you to God is action about what you learned about the Bible. And that, I think that's applicable to every area in life. You can't just think about it, talk about it, learn about it. You gotta do something. And it took me years to understand why I needed to act on real estate. And now I think this is the most time I have spent in doing real estate. Like we have like 1 hour together. I don't spend an hour a week in my real estate. I don't. I just receive the monthly statements from my bank. I don't even pay attention to how those accounts are paid. Those are all on automatic. Like I said, I spend my day with people, and you guys do all the work. I love it. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. That's how it's built, my friend. That's why we're here.
All right. Great last words. See you guys in the group. Take care.
Thank you, guys.